Less than 2 weeks away, Mike, from the start of Notre Dame football spring practice. You've known these guys for a long time. I'd love to get your insight on 3 freshmen to watch this spring.
Yeah, I was thinking about like let's put aside like the highest ranked guys. Who are the 3 that are going to draw the most attention, the most intrigue based on like their how big of prospects they are, one, but like who do I think is going to impress the most? Again, putting rankings aside, but it just happened to be that the 3 I'm going with are very highly ranked. Obviously, Darren, you've been covering Notre Dame football a long time. I'm coming up on 5 years, and every time Notre Dame has an early enrollee freshman quarterback, that player is very, all eyes are on that player, the new shiny toy. So CJ Carr is definitely that, someone who committed to Notre Dame summer of 2022. So he's someone who, Darren, I think Notre Dame offered him back in the summer of 2021, actually. And then, you get him committed a year later. So Irish fans have been know about him for coming up on 3 years, and it's finally here. CJ Carr, the quarterback from Saline, Michigan, the grandson of Lloyd Carr, his time in Notre Dame is finally beginning. And I know it kind of did during winter, right? You got some pictures of him and practicing for the Sun Bowl, but this is really it. Like you enroll for the spring, Darren, because it gets you a head start on the fall. That's a big part of it, right? It allows you to have a better chance to play early. How about him being able to do those bowl practices? I feel like it's just like a way for him to get ready for even more prepared for the spring. So I don't know if he's going to be able to, make a surprise run up the depth chart or anything like that. He's coming into it, QB4 behind, of course, Riley Leonard, Steve Angeli, and Kenny Minchie. But regardless, I think all eyes are going to be on all eyes. That's just kind of a phrase. Of course, Riley Leonard's going to draw a ton of attention, but CJ Carr is going to be someone who is watched very closely.
Mike, let me just throw in one thing. It was really interesting on one of my Twitter questions recently. I asked which of the 4 quarterbacks currently on the Notre Dame roster has the greatest chance to reach their ceiling, their potential. And CJ Carr got 71% of the vote.
Yeah, it's not surprising. He's a fantastic quarterback. The maybe the unpopular take on this is that the new guy's always the shiny toy. If he would have done that poll last year, it would have been Minchie. And if you do that again next year, it's going to be, Deuce Knight if he ends up sticking with Irish and signing. So that's my kind of little bit of pushback, but yeah, it's definitely not a bad answer. And moving quickly along to the other 2 guys, I think Kingston Philamasa, I wouldn't be surprised if coming out of spring ball, there's talks about him really being a real competitor and contender for one of those starting linebacker spots, which is really crazy to say about a linebacker, but Kingston Philamasa is not your typical freshman linebacker coming from St. John Bosco, one of the best high school programs in the country. How physically developed he is, and then seeing him at the All-American Bowl, just how special he is instinctually. His ability to read and react, fantastic linebacker. I think Kane Williams, seemed to lose some steam down the stretch from a ranking standpoint, with some of the other receivers having these super strong performances at the Under Armour All-America Week and then the All-American Bowl. And Cam, got injured on the second day, so you didn't really get to see him do a whole lot. So he slips down as the others rise up. So I'm really interested to see Kane Williams. You have a lot of receivers, Darren. Like it's a talented receiver room. There's questions at the top, but there's a lot of bodies for sure, and players with some experience in that have shown to be productive receivers at Notre Dame. But can Cam Williams jump some of those guys and get himself right into the thick of the receiver rotation as a true freshman? I think what he does this spring will definitely help us answer that question.
And Mike Denbrock, the new offensive coordinator, laid out there's a pretty good chance we'll see more multiple wide receiver sets than the 2 and 3 tight end sets. So that gives those young wide receivers another opportunity to get on the field. All right, Mike, 17 commitments in the class of 2025. Notre Dame is way ahead of the rest of the country in that category. Simply put, why?
Yeah, so Kyle Kelly, my coworker, and a guest on your show, Darren, we did an article about like why this is. Notre Dame has 17 commits. The next closest is Penn State with 12.
Wow.
And a disparity of 5 there is a huge number. Because look, I mean, under Penn State, you have Clemson 11, Oklahoma's 10, LSU 9. That, again, that's 17 to 12. That's a huge gap. Especially when you look at, there's not really any gaps anywhere else. But so why? Kyle wrote about the Irish and getting their big time recruits on visit weekends and, how important that is. And, writing about the great job the staff does, and completely agree with it. There are multiple reasons why Notre Dame gets such a head start on these prospects and how they're able to get them committed. But Darren, my take on this, and again, there's lots of different reasons, but I'm going to go back to the great Lou Holtz quote. Those who know Notre Dame, no explanation is necessary. For those who don't, no explanation will suffice. I really think that is a very strong component of this. These young prospects, Darren, a lot of them get Notre Dame. They come to that realization of, I know this is the place for me. Why wait? Why wait? Now, do some of those kids end up decommitting from the Irish? Sure. But this is why Notre Dame gets so many commits. In my opinion, this is like one of the chief reasons is someone like, James Flanagan. It's like, I want to go through this recruiting process a little bit. Maybe I want to go visit Michigan again and Stanford, but like, I know Notre Dame's the spot for me. Justin Thurman, a running back from Florida, who I talked about after I first interviewed him. I was like, this kid's going to Notre Dame. Like, he's going to Notre Dame. This is the most Notre Dame kid I've ever talked to. He ends up at Notre Dame because it just clicks. So, and I think a lot of these kids who commit early can often be like the no nonsense, no drama kids. It's not 100% of the time, but yeah, and those are the prospects who kind of just like, I get Notre Dame. Like, why even go through this recruiting process if I know that no place is going to match Notre Dame?